let me get us back on track
Sure.
to your life a little bit here. Why did you pick the Marine Corps?
Because I couldn't swim. No, in all honesty, I had thought for a while that I wanted to be a team guy. Playing football and trying to be a SEAL, it's extremely competitive. Some of the guys who went into the teams, and I mean, physical specimens,
studs.
Discipline, they're incredible. They train for 4 years to then go and do all these different screeners. And for me, not having spent 4 years in the pool was costly, because when it came time for me to do this screener to go do mini buds, it was basically like a mini hell week for 4 straight days of the academy. It was tough. I mean, we broke the ice in the Chesapeake, all of that. I trained for it for 2 weeks, right? I still had a shoulder problem and a hamstring problem from the season. I mean, it was just not going to work. I was not going to compete with these guys for it. But ultimately, what attracted me was the war in Iraq had started. A lot of my buddies were in the march up that I had played with that were, graduated before me. I had talked to some folks that were in special operations and SEALs, and they talked about it, and it's a smaller team. So it's a little bit different, whereas in the Marine Corps, the leadership, at very young age, you're going to have 40-some Marines. You'll go on to be a company commander at this level. You're going to get a legitimate opportunity to command large-scale units. And that was really appealing to me.
It's awesome.
And I thought that was probably the best opportunity for me, because if I was going to try to then be a team guy, I was going to have to go into the Navy as a surface warfare officer. Ugh. And then after 2 years,
That's rough.
Try to get to buds. And there's no guarantees.
No.
Being a SEAL is extraordinarily competitive.
Yeah.
And the physical requirements as officers to get there are really, really high. And so for me, the Marine Corps had an amazing appeal. And
did you know about the Marine Corps when you went to the Naval Academy, though?
I wasn't. I did as soon as I went to Plebe Summer, because they run it.
Okay.
They run it, and I'll tell you, a lot of the people at the Naval Academy when I was there hated the Marines.
Really?
So many of them went there with a chip on their shoulder. This is the Naval Academy. There's no Marine Corps stuff in it. So when we get our opportunity, we're really going to be jerks. And we had this great lieutenant colonel when I was a senior, and we had all been selected to be Marines, who told us, look, guys, this is not the real Marine Corps. They're not representing us well. We've got a bad crop here right now that are trying to prove a point. When you get to the basic school, you're going to find that it's massively different. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the diversity of my Marines. I mean, we talk about racism. Race is a big deal. Racism in our country. It's a big topic. I mean, there's constantly battles on all the Hollywood news sites going on about race. Didn't exist when I was in the Marine Corps. Men from all over the world.
Dark green Marine.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It did not matter.
Yeah.
We didn't care. Everybody, hey, this is so-and-so, this is so, we didn't care. We had a mission every day. We trained together. We bled together. And it was phenomenal. None of that stuff existed because we won together, we suffered together, and we looked beyond all of it. It just doesn't matter in the military. And it's so frustrating to see it matter so much here in the regular world, where people have all kinds of preconceived things, and some people are out there acting like they're fighting for the better of race relations in our country, and they're making it worse because they've got their own personal agenda as they do it. It's just really frustrating.
Yeah, well, I definitely in the military, like you said, everyone's wearing the same uniform, and I'm sure in the 50s and 60s and even into the 70s it was a big deal.
Absolutely.
They stamped it out because it doesn't matter. It's no factor one way or the other. It's no factor. It's pretty awesome. Went to the basic school. You got stalled in the basic school for a little bit of time, and going through some legal stuff. And while you're stalled at the basic school, your friends start going on deployment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got your classmates, your friends, your brothers are getting killed. And I that feeling of being on the sidelines, I think it's really hard to explain to people, and you do a good job in the book that I'll highlight a couple times, but I heard this quote one time, and I'm going to throw it out there as best I can, but for women, like they have an intrinsic biological desire to have children. Not all women, but a lot of women, let's say. And a lot of men have an intrinsic desire to go to war. I don't know why that is. I know I had it since I can remember having human emotions. I wanted to go to war. You know, I mean, when you're a kid, the first thing you do when you pick up a stick is you shape it into a gun and start pointing it at your friends and trying to kill them, right? Mm-hmm. So here you were on the sidelines, sitting back, and your friends are starting to get killed. What did that do to your psychology?
It was dark. It was psychologically, that was the most challenging time period of my life. You've got someone challenging your character and your honor, trying to say that you were something that you weren't. And I wouldn't allow it. There were easier ways to speed up the process, and I refused. No way. I know what happened. And during that delay, it was a very, very dark period. And it was difficult. But you have to slow life down sometimes, gain perspective, and realize, hey, look, this is going to take some time. Eventually, I am going to get there. But what really it turned into, when the opportunity finally came to progress, using my time wisely, the war wasn't going to go away tomorrow. You know, sometimes you get this feeling in your mind like, oh man, my friends are out there dying, they're leading, I need to be with them right now. Realizing, whoa, it's not going to be gone tomorrow. So don't be so anxious. Don't waste the time you have now to get better. What can I do? I'm not going to let this stupid instance hold me back from improving from when I eventually do go on to lead Marines. And so I found a way to contribute value. I found a way to get better. It didn't happen right away. You know, there was a couple of weeks where it was dark, where I was angry, but I snapped out of it, because there's times in life where life and your psychology, you want to be the victim, right? You want to feel like you've been wronged. And the problem is a lot of times when you go into that mode and you start playing the victim, you never crawl out of it. You get stuck in that world of the victim. You get stuck in this world that you think is all bad luck and everything's always going against you, and you stop driving, you know, your own life. You got to crawl out of that. When your mind is telling you to play the victim and to feel bad for yourself, nothing positive comes from that. Nothing.
Did something specific snap you out of that mindset? Did your mom tell you something, or
you must? I talk about that in my book.
That's right.
Yeah,
your mom.
She did. I mean, my mom is the sweetest woman in the world too. But there are specific times in my life where she was extremely hard on me.
Don't mess with Mama Stann.
They were at the right times.
Yeah.
You'd meet her now. You're like, oh my goodness, she's such a pushover. But there were times where hey, you're gonna fight this. You understand me? You're gonna fight this. You're right. That's it. And you move forward, and you owe, just like we all owe, the friends that you lose. There are many different ways that we could remember them, that we could memorialize them. Some people choose the wrong way, in my opinion. Substance, alcohol, depression. You know, they choose more of a victim mindset way of remembering them. Others choose, hey, they're no longer here. I can't bring them back. What would they want me to be doing? What would make them proud? I take their life for granted if I use them as an excuse to be idle and fail. Right? But I memorialize them if I remember them, speak their name, and talk about them as I move on and I succeed. And I still think about that. I think about Ronnie Winchester, who I played football with, who died in Al-Qaim, Iraq. I think about Brett Harmon, who was killed at an NC State football tailgater before he could even lead his platoon to battle.